Welcome, Ms. Prendergast. Good to see you. I see that you have some guests with you today. Would you like to introduce them?
I do have some team members here today. My husband, Shan, of 24 years, is here to my right. Our son, Luke, who will be 18 in one short month, and time is flying by and facing us in his senior year. And myself and my husband's greatest accomplishment, to be quite honest. And then my legal assistant, Serenity, my trusted companion, and is really one of the main reasons I'm here today and able to be here today. And her daughter, Cadence, who we're going to make sure sees the Capitol when we leave here today. So it's truly a team effort, and they're all very important to me. So
thank you, and welcome to all of you. You may begin with your opening statement.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, thank you all for your time and diligence in your service on this commission. It's abundantly clear and apparent that your work and effort is very serious and important to you, and I value that, and on behalf of the rest of the applicants, we value that very much, so thank you very much. As I thought about today, I realized that many of you know much about my background. You can see the experience I have, the cases I've worked on, but you probably don't know something very personal to me. Something personal to me is that one of my favorite things to do in the summer in Iowa is ride my bike. I love riding my bike, and in riding my bike, it often clears my head, issues that are going on with my cases, things that I need to think through present themselves oftentimes with abundance of clarity while I'm riding my bike. And due to the beautiful weather that we've had recently this summer in Iowa, I've had lots of opportunity to ride my bike over long distances. And it occurred to me that the lengthy ride of a bicycle ride is a perfect metaphor for my legal career. A legal career is oftentimes challenging and different, and a lengthy bicycle ride is full of different topography, hills that are challenges, long straightaways where you gain a pace and you figure out how you're moving forward, and you're getting a lot done in that long ride. And then those hills downward where it feels like a win. And you kind of just cruise and everything is behind you without much effort. That is what my legal career has felt like in many respects when I look back on it, and with that hindsight. There's been challenges, sure. I've lost partners and have had to move forward with that, but all of those challenges have been what brought me here today. They all happened for a reason, and they all create the long bike ride of my legal career that is me. In addition to the topography, a great bicycle race has a variety of participants. You have folks that are really good at endurance, and folks that are sprinters, and folks that really like to climb hills. And I've had the benefit of a variety of clients. I've represented individuals who have been facing significant criminal penalties. I've represented the people of the state of Illinois, and I've represented the people of the state of prosecutorial matters. I've represented family law folks that are in crisis and getting divorced. I've represented custody issues where individuals are not married and are trying to figure out how they're going to move forward in their lives with the children that they share. I've represented parents who are facing termination of parental rights, and I've also been, thankfully, the guardian ad litem in a number of cases where I have benefited and been able to use my personal experience in order to provide guidance to a minor child, and I've loved every minute of it. The variety of that experience has been fantastic, and I'm thankful for it. And when I look back upon it, again, it has been perfect for me. That variety has been a challenge and something that I enjoy doing. It was a new thing. It was a new person, a new issue, and I had partners who encouraged that continued variety. Thirdly, a great long bicycle ride has support. You have a team, and you can't do it without that team. And I look throughout my historical career, and it is the team of those folks behind me. It's the team of the lawyers and the judges that provided mentorship and guidance for the last 24 years of my career that if had not been for them, I would not be here today. I had great mentors, I had great legal professionals who all provided me incredible guidance and support throughout the 24 years. Finally, you have to have a great rider in a great bike race. You have to have a rider who's got the mental, physical wherewithal to start at the beginning and get that finish line there. I've been blessed to have an internal work ethic and discipline and fortitude, quite frankly, that has allowed me the ability to take on the challenges, the new clients, the variety of the experiences, and love every minute of it. If it weren't for that and what I got from my parents with the work ethic, what I get from watching my husband and my son and my legal assistant and all those team members that are part of that work ethic, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now as efficiently and credibly as I do. I've had a lot of success, and I'm thankful for it. And that's because of me, but it's also because of all of those other things that were part of my great bike ride. So it's with that I will say that I'm really ready for stage 2 of my bike ride. I am ready for the challenge of using all of that experience, the 24 years and the variety of the people and the challenges and the pacing and everything that I've put into it. I'm ready for that next challenge, and I want to breathe life into the work as a Court of Appeals judge. I want to take all that experience and read that transcript and take all of that background that I have from my great long bike ride and use it and direct that passion that I've always had for the people that are part of this system that we have right into work as an appellate court judge. So I welcome your questions, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you. And we will begin with some questions, and we'll begin with Mr. Horbach.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no questions.
Mr. Bevel?
Ms. Prendergast, being from Black Hawk County, I'm familiar with the work you've done. But my one question, have you had any civil trial experience, I mean, like personal injury or actually tried jury cases in that area?
I have. I'll admit my civil jury trial was a long time ago, but in Missouri I had the opportunity to defend a woman who was involved in a car accident. And my supervisor at the time, my boss at that time, was very open to my fearlessness in that case. And I walked into his office after he assigned the case to me, and I was right on the heels of prosecuting. And so I probably was a little bit overconfident at that time in my career and said, I don't think Our Lady is at fault here, and I want to file a counterclaim. And he said, okay, go right ahead. And I filed it, and I won a counterclaim in a civil jury trial in Missouri. My boss was ecstatic. I didn't quite know, I don't think I recognized at age 28 what I had accomplished, but that was a civil jury trial that I've had. I've had multiple other civil personal injury encounters through settlement and mediation. No other civil jury trials since that case back in Missouri.
Mrs. Sinclair?
No questions.
Ms. Valentine?
No questions.
Mr. Berger?
No questions?
Ms. Stanger?
No questions.
Ms. Pearson?
No questions.
Mr. Gray?
I have no questions.
Ms. Law?
Yes, could you address, there are people that think that you need to be a district court judge before you should rise to the ranks of the Court of Appeals. How would you answer that question?
That is a reoccurring question, and I would answer that I believe that being a district court judge is certainly a factor for this commission to consider. Obviously, that is a path that some individuals choose to take before applying to the Court of Appeals, but I do not think that that is the only factor to consider, and I also do not think that individuals who are in private practice are unnecessarily hampered or are not as prepared for a Court of Appeals position as someone on the district court bench. Quite honestly, I am most recently engrossed in representing individuals at the district court level, and I've experienced basically the entire northeast quadrant of Iowa in that regard. So I've seen systems in multiple counties, I've represented individuals in multiple ways, and I know what those courtrooms sound like, and I know what that record looks like. I know what the exhibit preparation is, I know how to prepare that case, and I know what it should look like at the district court level. So while there's no doubt that a district court judge has had the opportunity to render a decision, my viewpoint is one who is there presenting the evidence and creating the record that this Court of Appeals gets to see. I am acutely aware of what that record needs to look like. I am acutely aware of what needs to be in that record in order to survive an appeal and be successful on an appeal. It's a perspective that's important for a Court of Appeals judge to have, because you know what you're looking for and you know what it should say.
Thank you.
Mr. Goodman?
Ms. Law's question was the same that I was going to ask, so you've answered it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sukup?
Thank you. Last time we met, it was during heavy fog, and you fought your way through to get to the interview, and this time the days looked way too easy, so I passed on that. One of your seminars, you mentioned Fireside Chat with Arnie Sorensen, CEO of Marriott this last year, and he was just named National CEO. Anything from that Fireside Chat that would relate or you bring to the appeals court?
So much from that Fireside Chat. So happy you asked me about that. That was through my participation in the bench bar committee that occurred in Waterloo in May of 2018. Mr. Sorensen is a graduate of Luther College and the University of Minnesota School of Law, and when I was contemplating who I could use as a premier speaker for our bench bar event in Waterloo, myself and my partner were discussing him, and he came to mind, and we reached out to him, and through his graciousness, he decided to come to our bench bar event, which was huge for him to volunteer to do that. What I can tell you that I took away from it was what an incredibly giving man, and what an incredible opportunity for me to be able to interview someone like that on a stage in front of over 200 of my professional colleagues. Was there some nervousness and trepidation? Yes, there was. And I tell you what, it stopped the minute I started interviewing him. He was so easy to talk with and so incredibly astute to the issues that he wanted to present to that bench bar committee and those attendees at that event. I love the bench bar seminar. I want to continue an active participation in that. If I was blessed enough to have the opportunity to be on the Court of Appeals, I wouldn't hesitate to volunteer my time on that committee. It is so very important for our young lawyers to be able to break down the walls and meet other members of the judiciary and other lawyers and participate in that event. It is a relationship building critical seminar, and it's my favorite thing to do every 2 years. And so I digress from Mr. Sorensen, but my takeaway was that presenting in front of 200 legal professionals and colleagues was a thoroughly enjoyable thing for me to do, and I'd like to do more of it in my practice if I could find more time. And two, he was a wonderful person to meet, and I still actually communicate with him via email about various things. Sent him an email when I found out that he was sick. I think he'll be just fine, but a tremendous individual and very thankful for that opportunity.
Thank you.
Ms. O'Brien?
No questions.
Mr. Hoyting?
I'm going to go back to that fireside chat because I was there and it was wonderful. And one of the takeaways, Mr. Sorensen was asked about a book, recommending a book, and he recommended Supreme Commander, which was about General Eisenhower. And I picked up that book and I read it because of that. And one of the things I was surprised to learn is that prior to World War II, he had no active command in a combat zone or any real battlefield experience to speak of, but they made him the commander because of the skills he had. What kind of skills would you bring, having had no judicial experience, to the Court of Appeals?
That's a beautiful question, because it's about someone's persona, isn't it? It's about who you are as a person and the gifts that you have and how you maximize those gifts. One of the things I've thought about a lot in thinking about this application and over the last 30 days is that I do have a gift with people. I do have the ability to communicate very well. I have met with clients hundreds of times, and they've essentially interviewed me, and they've picked me. And then I've provided them the guidance and the advocacy that made them feel comfortable. So when you talk about somebody being thrown into an area where they might not necessarily have done it before, you have to have work ethic to make sure that you find the answers if you don't know them. You have to have the ability to reach out to the individuals who you know might have those answers if you don't know them at the tip of your hand or right there on your tongue. You must be able to have the fortitude to not be frightened by it. You have to keep plugging forward. And isn't that exactly what you're talking about that he did? He had that massive gift of internal fortitude and the ability to go and move forward in a way that worked out wonderful. And it would have been difficult to see that until it actually happened. But that's what I think I am able to do with the Court of Appeals. I'm able to take all of those life experiences, the natural gifts that I do have of communication and collaborative work and critical thinking, and writing in a way that must be viewed for the long term. I have written hundreds of stipulations that have to be interpreted for the long haul. I have to dot every I and cross every T to make sure that those individuals can continue to function within the 16 pages that are listed in that stipulation or within that decree that gets issued by the court after a trial. Probably a long-winded answer for what you asked, but thankful for the question, and I hope I answered it for you.
And thank you, and I do want to mention as well, your clients wrote some very nice letters on your behalf.
Thank you
And
very
I
much.
found those very powerful.
Thank you.
Mr. Spies?
Thank you. And I appreciate your zeal and your enthusiasm, and we oftentimes have the notion that a court of appeals is sterile and cold, and, but it is often the court of last resort, as you mentioned. How do you think you could best translate your zeal as an advocate to being a judge?
It's the passion for the people that are part of the system, and because of that passion and wanting justice to be served at every opportunity, I want to take all of the knowledge that I have in my head and turn it into reading that record and looking for all of those things that have to be in that record to either affirm or reverse whatever that decision was. It's digging through everything. It's the detail. It's all of the work that must be done in order to ensure that, in fact, justice was served and every I was dotted and every T was crossed. That's how I see myself, flipping that perspective of advocacy into ensuring justice.
Mr. Bloom?
Well, first of all, I want to echo what Dan said about your letter campaign. It's certainly in the top 3 I think I've seen since I've been doing this job, and very interesting distribution of sources, clients, people you served on commissions and boards. I lived up there for 16 years, so I recognize the dozen or so small towns and places that those letters came from. So that's a real testimony to you. But what I wanted to ask you about, because you made a very passionate defense of your law school, and I sort of picked on it a little bit. So tell us what you think of your law school.
You picked up on that I might have been a little bit sensitive about my law school. I went to the University of Illinois for undergrad, and when I graduated from Illinois, I knew I wanted to experience a different part of the country, and I applied to law schools out in New England because my extended family was out there, and I thought if I was going to be alone, I wanted to have family nearby as well if I needed that help. So Western New England gave me that opportunity, and I went to law school with 80 of the most wonderful people I can remember. It was about learning the law, and it was not about being better than the other person. And all of the rumors I had heard about books being hidden and you not being able to go find the answer because someone's going to be ultra competitive was not the case there. And the other unique thing about Western New England is folks actually did fail classes. I had see some of those are laughing because they know that it's a rare occasion in law school when folks actually fail. And my best friend in law school, bless her heart, if she's watching this, I'm sorry, Grace Ann. She failed evidence and she was devastated. And Western New England said, "You're going to go take this again," and she took it again. And I would give credit to Western New England for preparing me. Because they must have done something right. I was able to pass 3 bar exams. So I think I got a great education, and I think that I was prepared for the legal career in that regard. And the Berkshires were a beautiful place to go to law school for the 3 years that I was there.
Ms. Conover?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, very good. It's nice to see you again. Thank you for being here, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much for your time.